Alright, fuck it, let's just start now. Can everyone hear me? Are we all doing okay for hearing? Hopefully I've not fucked something up. Hopefully we're off and good. And we're getting progressively slightly better at OBS. Looks like it's working. Looks like it's working. Hearing activated. Amazing. What's the best pub in Glasgow? I don't know. Let's start with some wine first of all. How are we all? We all good? As we established last time, don't die and drink some wine. That's the fucking motive of this stream going forward. Let me just take a sip. My favourite pub in Glasgow. I like Indeep. Have you ever been to Indeep? It's quite a nice pub. You can get like £3 pints of Brothers from Indeep, which is nice. And it's also got loads of dogs around the place. Where else is good? Where else do I like? Oh man, it's been a while since I've been out in Glasgow. The Ben Nevis is quite nice. A bit more upmarket. You get some fun. Does Indeep have a spoken word now? I had no idea. I never went to any of that. I just enjoyed drinking there and dogs. I like the Ben Nevis. I went to a few sessions at Ben Nevis, which were always fun. 13th Note in Merchant City is quite good. Another good sort of vegan place. Where else? Yeah, a lot of places will come to mind as I think. Me doing fucking advertising for the city of Glasgow. How is everyone? How are we all doing? I've not got any plans or any notes today. Don't know what we're going to talk about. Just felt like doing a wee stream this week. Thank you, Q Comics. That's really kind. Yeah, that video popped off a bit. I'm not vegan. I'm vegetarian. I've not managed to make the leap to veganism just yet. I like eggs and cheese enough. I'm sorry, Kararaj. That sounds crap. I also have lots of stuff I should be doing right now, but decided to stream instead. I was in the middle of reading a David Harvey book, The New Imperialism, because I'm doing a lot of stuff on primitive accumulation right now. Butter is useful. I've heard vegan cheese is getting better. My mum said that she had a vegan cheese things. Hey Altair, thanks for dropping in. We're just keeping things chill. I got my wine already. We were talking veganism, schoolwork, and David Harvey already. Hey Ultraviolet, thanks for popping in. Always nice to see you. Not vegan yet. My diet is quite close. If it wasn't for cheese, a lot of the food I make, lots of soups, lots of stews, lots of veg stuff, is close to vegan anyway. Just not quite there. Yeah, everyone. It's a busy time of year. Reaching the end of the term, things are starting to fucking heat up. I'm supposed to have. I got an email from my department saying it's time for my 6 monthly review. What's up, me throw from North Lancashire? Welcome to North Lancashire. Yeah, I got loads of shit to do. Favourite stew? I don't really have any. The way I cook isn't like by recipes or like by a fucking particular thing. I learned to cook from my mum, who who knew how to cook for a family of 6. So everything is just big pots of shit, fucking stirred, flavoured, and like ladled out over a period of several days. So I know how to make big, like, hearty stews of whatever it is. It's not like recipes, it's just like, what have you got in? Fucking chickpeas, fucking aubergines, a bit of courgettes. Just fire it in there and see what happens. I made a chili right now. Right now I've got a chili that's got a bunch of black beans, bunch of kidney beans. I was looking for you know what's good in chili is quinoa. A quinoa chili is a good like for vegetarian chili. Quinoa is good, but I did make this one with the corn mince, which is also, it's alright. Could be better, but it's alright. Yeah, cooking with intuition is the best. Yeah, exactly, the collectivist pot model. Has the war on Christmas started yet? Lentils in a chili. I've made a couple of good lentil chilies. I prefer using making a dal if I'm gonna use lentils in like a spicy dish though. I like making a good dal with some chickpeas and some like spinach as well. So not like a pure dal, but like something that's dal adjacent. That's a good one, and that can feed you for days. No, Karaj, I've got three siblings. There's 4 of us, and my mum and dad. So she cooked for 6 of us because my dad still can't cook. The best lunch meal right now. What I'm on in a kick with for lunchtimes is a bagel with butter, some lettuce, some salad, crunchy salad, and some corn, like smoky ham pieces, and that's a good solid fucking meal for lunch. It fills you right up. That's what I'm on a kick of right now. Cooking is nice if you have an abundance of free time. Yeah, I mean, I said, I learned how to cook by my mum, and everything she cooked was for like fucking speedy and for lots of folk. So I can like make a big pot of something in like half an hour, which is good. But it is nice when you've got more time and you can make something a bit more like nice and delicate and kind of, you know, that's kind of nice. Yeah, Harry Line. I'm vegetarian, not vegan vegetarian. I've not made that leap yet. Dynamite Neddy, have you seen the AOC Sturgeon Iron Brew selfie and has Scotland reached new levels of cringe? I have not seen that, and I'm kind of glad I've not seen that. Fucking yeah, that sounds fucking cringe as hell. I cannot fart with my hand. Oh, that sucks, I'll tell you. Yeah. So what's everyone wanting to chat about? Any questions? Anything that they'd like to see us chat about? We can keep talking about fucking vegetarian meals for as long as possible. I'm just here to chill. But if there's any pressing questions anyone wanted to ask or anything, just fire them my way and we'll see what happens. Two slices of toast, melted cheese. Make sure it's decent cheese for melting, like Emmental with some slice of ham or chicken, then microwave it for 2 seconds. It's the easiest and best lunch. Sorry, melted cheese. Make sure it's. Sorry, 1 second. You're microwaving bread. Are you saying you're microwaving bread? Because that's not acceptable, I'm afraid. Unacceptable. I've not seen Dune, so I can't chat about Dune. If I'd seen it, I would chat about it. I want. See, there's people trying to make fun of my accent in chat. You want me to say purple burglar alarm? Cool. I hope that got you off a little bit. I hope you enjoyed that. Yeah, fucking hell, yeah. Ultraviolet, you quit your job 5 days ago, never have to work with cops again. Been hyped all week. Just happy with that. That is, we love to see that. That is a. Can we get W's in the chat for Ultraviolet, who has a great channel that everyone should check out. Yeah, absolutely. Cheers to that. Hey, everyone should have some wine if they can. If you don't drink, don't have some wine. No judgment here. If you'd like some wine, get some wine. We love to see it. We love to see it in the chat. What music do I like? So right now I've been on a kick of I've been listening to a lot of Young Fathers recently, who are a sort of hip hop band from Leith. They're pretty good. Big fans of them. Yesterday I was at a gig. Went to see a band called Real Lies, who are like sort of dance, sort of techno fucking hip, like band. That was fucking brilliant. They had like dancers and everything, modern dancers with them. That was almost like ballet at some point. It was really fucking good. So I'm kind of on a like sort of techno dance kick at the moment. I was also listening to, if anyone, any Scottish folk in the chat have heard of Nightworks, they're a good band who sort of blend Scottish trad music with with techno and with dance as well. I went to see them at Celtic Connections one year, and they were fucking brilliant. The crowd was mad. It was great. But aside from that, I've got an expansive taste in music. I listen to lots of different stuff. Just depends on what kick I'm on at that moment. Right now it's kind of, I'm leaning into sort of dance and hip hop stuff right now, which is fun. What are my thoughts on religious communes such as the Bruderhof? I have no idea what that is, so I'm afraid I can't give an opinion on it. This is my problem with the problem with streams. Sometimes I do is if I don't know about something, I just don't talk about it. People ask a question, I don't have a fucking fire off the hip opinion on it. I'm afraid I just don't know. I've never heard of the Shins. I don't know who the Shins are, what they are. Yeah, Nightworks Ultraviolet. Nightworks are good. Alter, if you get the chance, you should go see go to some Celtic Connections shit. There's always some fun shit on in Celtic Connections. I've normally got friends who are doing something. One of my friends is in a band called Heisk, Heisk, who are really good. A good sort of Scottish trad band, who are like fun music. Favourite Danny Boyle film that isn't Trainspotting? Trainspotting 2, no. Shallow, maybe, is it Shallow Grave? With Christopher Eccleston and Ewan McGregor. That's a really good one. I enjoyed that. I'm not bad at knowing film directors. What other films has Danny Boyle done? I'm sure he's done other stuff that I liked as well. My favourite museum? I don't know. I like Kelvingrove Art Museum in Glasgow. That's a fun museum. It's got all the big floating heads in it. I was on some legal substances, which didn't affect me unfortunately, but it affected my friend, and we were trying to get into Kelvingrove Art Gallery because we thought it'd be like a fun place to be on these legal substances, and we couldn't get in, unfortunately. We ended up going up to, it was so annoying. I was really excited to try, and I was like, I thought I'd have a fun time. My friend and we were walking along. It was a lovely day, and I was out with my friend, and she was like starting to feel stuff, and she was like starting to see things, and was like, "How are you? How are you doing, John?" I was like, "I'm fine. I'm not really feeling anything." And we kept going on for a little while, and I knew that this day wasn't going to go too great for me, because she turned around and went, "Oh wow, look at that window." And I looked at the window she was pointing at and said, "Oh yeah, I think it's like 14th century, maybe 15th century." And I looked at her, and she was just sitting there with her eyes wide open and her mouth hanging open. And I was like, we're in very different places right now, unfortunately. Yeah, so Kelvingrove Art Gallery, that's a good one. And also, if you're doing legal substances, make sure that you're on the same level as everyone else, or else you'll start trying to explain the history of a castle while they're looking at an owl emerging from the brickwork. Yes, that story got away from me there. Did you see that thing where there was a protest against an Israeli politician who had openly called for the destruction of Palestine? I did see that, yeah. It was fucking absurd. A lot of that shit. And for anyone who doesn't know, the ambassador to Israel was given a speech at LSE and was not chased out. She wasn't chased out. She got some boos by some people after she'd given a talk and gotten a bunch of flowers. This is a person who is against like interracial marriage, who wants to utterly just destroy Palestine, essentially wants to commit a genocide, more overtly than a lot of other sort of Israeli apologists do. So someone who's denounced even among Israeli. Oh, nice to see you, Ultraviolet. See you another time. Yeah, someone who's denounced even in Israel, and they were booed a bit as they were leaving LSE, and fucking, it's become a whole thing where a bunch of Labour MPs have been calling for arrests, calling to criminalise acts like this from students who are like booing a fascist, like just a fascist. There's no two ways about it. You know, and decrying it as anti-Semitic, which is pretty gross, I'd say, and a good example of how Zionism is utilised in defence of genocide. It's fucking pretty horrible. Yeah, I did see that. Let's see, catching up on chat. What wine am I drinking? I was drinking Sainsbury's Taste the Difference wine, which was on deal from £8 to £6, and everyone knows that that's the wine that you buy, the one that's the stuff that's on deal from like £8 or £9 to £6, and then you get slightly better wine. I've been on a white wine kick recently because I've noticed I don't get as bad hangovers as on the red wine. If you're drinking red wine, I'm just like the next day I'm fucking dead. I can't move. I prefer red wine, but I'll just be like lying in bed feeling sorry for myself, and I can't do that. I've got shit to do tomorrow. So, white wine it is, and we'll cope. Bad Mouse is watching the stream. Welcome to Bad Mouse. Glad you can join us. Hope you're enjoying me babbling meaninglessly into the void and drinking some wine. Because that's the vibe we're cultivating here. It's just a chill out. Test your drugs. Hot Corvin. It wasn't an issue with the drugs. It was an issue with my weird brain. We were on the same legal substances, and she had the effect and I didn't. It was just an unfortunate situation. I was very disappointed. I'll maybe get another chance at another point. Have I seen much of Frankie Boyle's comedy? Not recently. I've heard Frankie Boyle is quite a nice man in person. I've heard he's like quite a sweet guy, but a lot of his earlier comedy stuff I just really didn't like. I think I've heard he kind of feels the same way as well. So I've not really seen much of his comedy recently. Lol, remember the Labour Party? Yeah. She's now written an article about it in The Spectator, which of course has always been a strident campaigner against anti-Semitism. Yeah, for anyone who doesn't know, The Spectator magazine has published pieces on defence of the Wehrmacht and on defence of Greek neo-Nazis. So, they're not the most stringent defenders against anti-Semitism, so that's somewhat ironic, I guess. What's my favourite wine? Pinkle Punkle, do I look like the kind of person who has a favourite wine? My favourite wine is the one that is currently on deal from £8 or £9 to £6. That's how it works. We don't deal with favourite wines here. Who do you think I am? Fucking Riley from Trash Future. Someone clip legal substances, yeah. Hey, Ethan Salarius, thank you. I appreciate that. Glad you're here. Opinions on the great metropolis of Stirling. I have not really been to Stirling. I've been to Stirling like once or twice and not for years. When was the last time? I've been through Stirling more than I've been to Stirling. I just remember it being a bit boring. Not much there. I'm sure it's fine. From friends who are from Stirling are just like, yeah, it's fine. Not much there. What gives me hope these days? Someone asked me that question recently. I think... So, things like the huge mass protests, or Black Lives Matter protests that swept the world last year, or the largest strike in history in India earlier this year, show that despite the deepening and increasing violence of what is becoming a sort of neoliberal fascist world system, the seeds and contradictions within that system are producing huge mass movements against it. And you're seeing increasing labour militancy in the global north, huge campaigns, huge social movements in the global south. While these things are constantly repressed and constantly fought against, that they exist and that they're making some progress is positive. And a lot of my work and a lot of my research is talking to activists on the ground who are doing that work, particularly in the realm of social reproduction. And what a lot of them talk about is how their movements are increasing in both scale and militancy, and how there's been increased mutual aid between disparate groups, which I think is incredibly hopeful. And, hope on its own isn't very useful, but without it, what's the point? I think there's reasons to be hopeful, and there always are. And even if there wasn't, you just keep doing the work and see what happens. Oh no, Hot Carbon, we were at the same, I did much more than the person I was with. It just had no effect. I don't know why. I spoke to someone about this. Speaking to, if anyone knows, Hilary Agro, speaking to her about this, and she was like, yeah, it's known to happen sometimes. Some people just, especially the first time, I think, some people just don't get affected by it. I don't know. Weird. Maybe second time it'll be better. Lilas, that's it. I'm playing Animal Crossing. Get some vibes. Get some cozy vibes. Glad to be here. Hope your past weeks have been kinder to you. Honestly, you know, the response to the video was not bad. Like, I was expecting worse from... I was genuinely expecting a lot worse. And I guess, like, the benefits of being a cis white guy mean that I don't get the same sort of lightning rod of horrible abuse that anyone who isn't within that category gets online. But... And also I think the benefit of being relatively small meant that people didn't have much on me. But, like, the responses from, like, Vosh fans and, you know, Peter Coffin fans and whatever to that video was pathetic. Like, they were just bad at trying to abuse me. Like, at one point I was saying to my friends, I was, like, standing on the edge of the ocean just begging them, like, saying, is that all you've got? Because they had fucking nothing. Like, the best that they had was a fucking clip of me saying it is fine for Kenya to decolonise. That was basically it. I just got spammed by that hundreds of times. It's like, you know, fucking, is that all you've got? You fucking cowards. It was fine. And most of the response to the video was roundly positive, which is good. It did make me laugh that I was tagged in about 3 or 4 different threads in the Vosh subreddit. I just checked on Reddit every now and again. I was like tagged in these threads, and it was just all the same sort of nonsense, which was quite funny. Yeah, you should get red LEDs for when you say incredibly Marxist things. I do have red LEDs. Let's see. Shall we change it? Shall we increase the Marxism in here? Should we get some red on the go? We'll see how red we can get this. Savannah sunset. That better? It's a bit red, maybe a bit orange? No, it looks a bit red. Semi-serious. Mithril saying, the right wing is really good at creating mythologies. Why is the left so poor at it? I don't think we need to create mythologies. I don't think that's something that we necessarily need to do. A mythology, and the way that the right uses mythology, stands in the way of proper analysis of the world. And hey Harker, welcome to the chat. Yeah, I don't think we need to do that. We need to be forthright in our analysis of the world and strong in our rhetoric. I don't think we need to create mythologies. I don't think that's necessary. I just don't think it's necessary. And you know, right wing mythologies aren't good. It's not something we should be trying to emulate. Sorry, Hawk Corbin, I don't mean to be harking on it yet. It's just, yeah, it was just an annoying day. Sorry, I missed some chats. Hello, George the Half Scot. Welcome to the chat. Harry Lyne saying the most hopeful we felt in the last few years was the overturning of the fascist coup. Yeah, that was another big one. Another good moment. What's my opinion on the post-truth era or post-factual politics? I don't think there's ever really been a truth era or factual era of politics. This is something I would maybe have to think about more. But I think that the more sort of illustrative changes that we're seeing are less about truth and fact and more sort of aesthetic presentation of truth and fact. Not to steal something from Hussein Kazvani, but everything is posting in terms of politics these days. It has some merit as a position where the truth it matters less than the value that you can get from posting. I don't think there was ever a golden era of truth in politics. I talk about that a little bit in the video on free speech and how the sort of bounds of that have always been dictated by the bounds of essentially capitalism. I don't think that's changed really any. I think there's things that I think there's maybe a post-shame politics emerging. I think if this is leaning into some political science part of me that I thought I'd buried, but I think should bourgeois democratic politics continue for very long, there's going to be a period where there's not going to be any sort of matter if people have posted shit in their past, and there's not going to be any sort of scandal from people dredging up shit from your past, because everyone's going to have it, and it's all going to be there for everyone to see. We've got UK politicians right now who've got photographs of them posing with EDL members carrying fascist flags, and nothing happened to them. So I think there's like a maybe post-shame, but all of that stuff is going to be placed in balance with whoever or whichever group holds more power. If that was like someone on the left, even within the Labour Party, but on the left of the Labour Party had been caught with something like that, that would destroy them in that. But being a Tory, it's fine. Similarly, probably in terms of US politics and Canadian politics, I mean, fucking, how many times has Justin Trudeau been caught doing blackface now? At least 4, right? 3 or 4 times, and he coloured in his knees as well. That's not brought him down yet. So, I think post-shame rather than post-truth is the sort of timbre of politics at the moment. What can we learn from 20th century socialism? Much that I'm not sure I can go into in great detail right now. I guess some of the critiques of bureaucracy might be worth some lessons. Perhaps the idea that any socialist movement must necessarily be global. I don't know. That's a big question, I'm afraid. Bo the Fifth column was talking about. Sorry, the chat updated there when I was just about to say read something. Bo the Fifth column was talking about a school board in Virginia floating the idea of burning books. Worrying trend or outlier? It doesn't sound bad. It sounds bad. It doesn't sound like it's something that's indicative of the creep of fascism. I think there are other issues there. People have been burning books for years now, They burned Harry Potter books. They fucking burned Qurans. It's been a feature of the US political landscape for a while. I think there are other worrying trends than that, maybe. Red like the walls one, right? The vibe just got a lot more revolutionary. Must stay saying, hey John, I'm thinking about joining the Marxist tendency with my uni's Marxist Society. Do you recommend joining? I don't know much about them. I was never involved with much student politics, and I'm glad of that. I'm not going to put you off it, because you might get stuff from it. A lot of what I've heard from some university societies and people I know who've been in those sort of university societies is that they're not great. There's a lot of, just sort of getting tied up in theory knots, and if you enjoy that, it's fine. Might be just, if it's a way to meet fellow people who might be into, being communists, might be a fun way to do that. I've rarely heard good things about university politics groups, but that if you join it and it's good, yeah, it's good. I would go, might as well go along and see what's up. You've got nothing to lose. Yeah. I did see that the apartheid South African president died, Alta, and I saw that. I saw the reporting on the BBC of the apartheid South African president dying, and crediting him with freeing Nelson Mandela and ending apartheid. It's like, yeah, cool. It was him that did it, and not the fucking ANC and decades of political activism and action and revolutionary violence that did that. Is saying that gonna get me kicked off the stream? Who knows? Do I remember when the bin men was ad? I do remember when the bin men were ad. Yeah. Oh, chat's refreshed again. Hello Tristan, how's it going? Oh man. Yeah, Bad Mouse is right. ACORN, ACORN are good. I was gonna join ACORN down here, but I heard from some friends who are in ACORN that the London branch wasn't particularly active. So I joined the London Renters Union in my borough instead. So that's what I'm sort of doing, trying to get involved with here. But ACORN, London Renters Union stuff. You know what's interesting? I'll talk about this for a second. I have a theory, which is built on a lot of the stuff in my research, that these things like ACORN and London Renters Union and campaigns around housing, water, education, are going to become increasingly relevant for organising against, anti-capitalist organising or anti-neoliberal organising, whatever you want to call it, however far you're willing to take it and how much those things stack on top of each other. I think these are going to become increasingly relevant, as much as labour organising itself has been. And I have a theory, I think, that labour organising being viewed as the prime mode of anti-capitalist organising is maybe holding it back a little bit in terms of of mobilising mass movement. I think that the rise of ACORN and of renters unions and of campaigns against water privatisation, of education privatisation. I mean, look at Chile has these huge decades-long mass protests against the privatised education system, and they're incredibly important for class formation. I think, and Black Lives Matter campaigns as well, and these realms of social reproduction are important for class formation in a way that a focus on just labour union activism has been missing out. So that's a little theory I'm working on at the moment. So yeah, ACORN stuff is useful if you're into that. Even if facts have ever been contested as much as now, framing has been a big thing. I'm not sure what that's referring to. What's Harker saying? I think that the way we create mythology on the left is often counterproductive. The way that, for instance, class reductionists or pure idpol stuff takes place, trying to myth make. We need analysts. I think that speaks to something important. Yeah. I think this relates to what I was just saying. I think that there is a mythologizing of labourism and of workerism, not in the Italian sense, but in a sort of English Marxist sense, which has mythologized and fetishized the idea of working classness to the extent that that it causes an issue in the way that Harkis has pointed to with the class reductionists. It's not a phrase I like because I think it obscures stuff more than it reveals stuff, but I think the idea that that there is a mythologized working class to be appealed to and to mobilize is related to maybe this laser focus on labour union organising only in terms of organising against capitalism and of creating class consciousness and of forming classes in themselves. Well, I do think that Harker's speaking to something important. Fifth time is the charm. 500. I know. See, I'm a bit behind chat, but coming across people referring to blackface and knowing oh, okay, we must have been talking about fucking Justin Trudeau at that point. Conspiracy talk. The government said UFOs are real. People said it at the Travis concert. Fucking hell. Do I think one day the government will tell us demons are real? Maybe. What are demons except the demons that we all struggle with every day? Badman. Yeah, it was from ACORN people that I did hear that London Renters Union might be a better shout for London. Who knows? I could join both. We'll see what's up. I just want to. What I liked about LRU was just the folk. I wanted to get basically involved in the area in which I live. Or living rent in Scotland, Alter. Yeah, that's a good shout as well. Yeah, I basically just want to get involved in my area and just do stuff, get some fucking work done. It's been a while. It's been a while since I've done anything on the ground due to fucking COVID, and it's want to get back involved again. Am I suggesting that the bin men weren't hard? I'm not suggesting that. The bin men were always hard. And that's not mythologising, that's just a pure historical fact. Bin men were bin men, they always were. What's going on here? So, primitivism strikes me as an appeal to mythologising the working class. What's someone's just saying David Baddiel in chat. Is my full name Jonathan or John Bonney? It's just John. It's just John. That's all it is. Let's see, what's everyone else saying? Yeah, there's a commodification of the identity of the working class. And you know what's is often a commodification from people who are very middle class, even if that is like people who, so that clip was circulating a lot recently about the way that guy in Question Time who was challenging Richard Bergen during the last election, saying that he wanted to increase taxes on him even though he's not in the top 5%, and then he said I earn 80k a year and I'm not in the top 5%. It's like, yeah, you are in the top 5%, but there's this image that having a regional accent, fucking doing a trade necessarily means that you're more working class than anyone else, than anyone who's got a degree. That fucking Jacobin article that defined working classness as anyone who doesn't have a degree is working class, which doesn't make much sense when upwards of like 40-50% of the population have been to some form of further or higher education. There's a fetishization of the working class going on there, and it's shit. What's else is saying? What's my favourite movie? I don't know. Oh, actually, no, I fucking do know. Chicken Run. Why would I say I don't know? It's Chicken Run, obviously. The Chicken Run video is written. I was going to film it on Wednesday, but I had to film something else for Step Back History, which should be out sometime soon. So that I maybe film that. I was going to film it, and then I was going to film it this weekend, but my brother is coming down from Edinburgh this weekend, so maybe next week we'll get the Chicken Run video filmed. Aside from Chicken Run, you got The Princess Bride, fucking brilliant, love that film. I've got in the back of my head, I've got a D&D character I want to base off of Inigo Montoya from that. I fucking love that film. I like Blade Runner and Arrival. So I'm looking forward to seeing Dune because I like Denis Villeneuve. I don't know how to pronounce his name. I like that director. You know, good things. Yeah. Oh, David Baddiel in connection with blackface. Right. Okay. Um. do-do. Can the chat join you in the wine drinking, or is it just exclusively you? Chat is encouraged to join in the wine drinking. In fact, I'm going to top up my wine just right now. Chat, you're encouraged. I am enabling you. The enduring culture war between older blue-collar union workers against young urban educated service workers so exhausting and pointless. Yeah, I agree. Bad Mouse, I haven't played Disco Elysium. I don't know, is it out on Switch yet? I only have a Switch, because the games I play are Mario Kart and Zelda. Yeah, I'm a gamer. I play Mario Kart and Zelda, and I play them fucking brilliantly. I will destroy anyone at Mario Kart. I'll destroy anyone at Mario Kart and table football. That's a guarantee. A guarantee. So I've not played Disco Elysium yet. If it's out, maybe I will. I don't have all that much money to sort of spend on games, because games are expensive. But maybe. Sorry, 1 second. I've just seen something in the chat and we have to deal with it. Chicken Run isn't a film. Urban Fireham, explain yourself. You're going to have to explain yourself here, because it is not only a film, it is the best film. It is the best film. You're going to have to explain yourself. "73 viewers but 20 likes on this video." Okay, fuck me then. Sorry. Disco Elysium is out on Switch. Okay, maybe I'll take a look, see how much it is, and maybe buy it. I've only heard good things. Absolutely everyone's just said good things about Disco Elysium. Oh boy, I noticed that a lot on Has to whole video. Oh, we're gonna have to talk about Has for a fucking second. How fucking funny was that? There was just like, it was one of these rare moments with the two whole shit. It was just like a pure perfect moment of ridicule. The way that woman who the way that she sort of guided him through, setting the trap for him, pointing him at the trap and going, "Step on that trap," and then he stepped in it. It was just, it was beautiful. And he just kept doubling down, kept being like, calling people ugly for pointing out that he was he said that, what did he say, women shit from, or piss from their asshole or something. Like, how did he, surely that is a career ender moment from him. Fucking outstanding work. And he looks like a loaf of white bread. The guy does, and I'm afraid that if you look like that, you can't be coming after people for their looks. Like, it's you feel bad coming after people for their looks, because, you know, it's not something they can help. But also, he did just essentially call everyone who criticises him ugly, and, you know, you look like a loaf of white bread, man. Come on. Hold your horses. Pump the brakes a bit, and, you know, use Google once. He did a video on Socialist Patriotism. The visuals and all glorified this weird, outdated idea of the US working class as an agriculture and industrial workers. Yeah, I do feel like those two things come together a lot. They do very much valorise this idea of the noble, you know, the noble factory worker, that goes home and it's all very gendered as well. It's all very masculine, and that I think that still pervades a lot of trade unionism today, even outside of the more sort of patriot, absurd shit that you get from folk like that Has guy. A lot of trade unionism is very macho, a very like, playing into this we're old shipbuilders, or we're old iron workers, we're men's men, we're the bin men who were always hard. It all very much plays into that. Women should, and the idea like being that, reifying the idea of women's role being social reproductive, in a different way to the way that neoliberal feminism does. But yeah, there's a lot of machismo in union movements, and it's unsurprising to me that the Socialist Patriotism video played on those similar sort of tropes. Any thoughts of hip hop as a genre? I like hip hop. I was talking about it earlier. Young Fathers, fucking great. One of my favourite bands. Yeah, like hip hop. It's a good genre. There's shit in hip hop as well, but I like it. Chicken Run is a detailed analysis of the current economic situation, farmhouses, and the plight of chicken working class. Not a film. It is a film, and it is a detailed analysis of capitalism, necropolitics, and neoliberal feminism, as I will show in my Patreon exclusive Chicken Run video. The class is based on whether you are 2 holes or 3 holes. What are folks saying? So I keep losing chat. I like having lots of chat, but I'm worried about losing people's what people are saying. Oh, hey, Spice 8 Rack. Welcome to the stream. Yeah, we're talking about pissing. Is Mel Gibson your problematic fave? You know what? I think it is absolutely perfect that Mel Gibson was cast as Rocky in that Chicken Run film. As I will expand upon in the video, the dichotomy between Ginger as the Gramscian organic intellectual of the revolutionary proletariat and the false idol of liberal individualism as exemplified by someone like Mel Gibson is perfect. It's a perfect casting choice, and it is his best performance in a film. But he's also a horrific racist. Yeah, it is what it is. I'd prefer it if he wasn't in the film, but he is, so we're going to try and intellectualise our way out of having to deal with that, because, that's what we're doing. Social Totality says there's only one hole. That, you're speaking my language. I feel like the idea of no degree equals working class to me reeks of the myth of unskilled labour. Also, The Princess Bride is my favourite film. Yeah, I think the unskilled labour myth, it kind of does play into that, I suppose, in trying to reify the idea of the ideal of a real working class being non-educated, in big quotation marks, kind of does reinforce the idea or the dichotomy between skilled and unskilled. Misha, you don't have to apologise for being late. We're just talking shit here. We are just drinking wine, or tea, or whatever you want to drink, and we're having fun. Oh man, I'm so behind. Sorry folks, I'm really behind. Sorry, I'm just trying to catch up on chat. Seeing if anyone's... Have I seen any of the Cars films? I haven't seen any of the Cars films. I've never wanted to see any of the Cars films. they seem to be like they seem to be like the universally worst Pixar films. They're Pixar, right? I don't want to see them. The Has moment was so cringy I felt bad for him. Nah. Nah, I did not feel bad for him. Because he's a fucking prick. It's like, you know, he's quite obviously a prick. I did not feel bad for him. Absolutely not. So Chicken Run is the Has of the Aardman films. Uber Fireham, I might time you out for that. That is unacceptable. That's not something that I'm tolerant of dissenting opinions, but that is just intolerable. To compare the finest work of art, that is Chicken Run, to Has, is just, that's unacceptable. There's a joke in Chicken Run where the two rats are like, yeah, we're gonna be quiet, like a mouse, like a fish, and it's just a great joke. It's a great joke, in amongst all of the deep political analysis. I can still remember the moment I saw Chicken Run for the first time, and they did that scene with the axe, and they slammed the axe down, and I think that might have been the first time I cried during a film, because it was fucking terrifying. It is an incredible film. And we will not stand for slander in this chat. We will not stand for it. I want to help my friend get into a union, but it's hard because, oh, for God's sake, sorry, I keep losing chat. It's hard because he doesn't think it would help him. Do you have any advice for how I can get him to join one? Nobody ever thinks they need a union until the moment that they need one. And with most unions, in order to access the services that you need to access, if your boss is trying to fuck you over, which, to be clear, all bosses are trying to fuck you over. They just are. Even if you've got a nice boss, they will find a way to fuck you over. And the only way that you can access those services generally tends to be if you've been a member for 2 months, 2 or 3 months before you can access those sort of services. So if you leave joining a union until you absolutely need one, you're not going to be able to use those services. You need to pay in, you need to be an active member before anything goes horribly bad for you. So you should join a union if you can. If he has some choice over which union to join, check out those choices, because some of them, particularly in the UK, Unison are bad. And they're the big public sector union, but they're shit. And if you've got another option, I'd suggest joining them. Yeah, you should join a union. I don't know if there's any advice I can really give without knowing the person, aside from just your boss is always trying to fuck you over, and if you wait to join for when you actually need that help, it's going to be too late already. So it's worth it. As is basically badly proofed focaccia. Or you're a worker, name 5 words you can't spell. I will name 1 word that I can spell badly 5 times, and that's bourgeois. Never... Oh! Nope, that joke was made immediately afterwards. Sorry, I'm late to the party. Hello, Alicia. Welcome to... I hope that's how you pronounce your name. I'm sorry if it's not. Welcome to the chat. Have you seen Bug's Life or the Bee Movie? I've seen both. Bug's Life, also good. Also, potentially revolutionary. B-movie, fucking weird. The story of Jerry Seinfeld as a bee wanting to fuck a woman, very weird. And also, not communist. They kind of just end up... what a weird film. What a fucking weird... I'm sure Big Joel did a video on that, maybe. It might have been Big Joel or Jack Saint. One of those boys did a movie on B-movie and how fucking weird the politics of that movie are. Yeah. Favourite Simpsons episode? Ooh, that's a difficult one. I mean, Favourite Simpsons episodes? There's so many. The monorail one, fantastic. Always love that one. I love the one where, I can't remember, I always get mixed up, Patty or Selma marries Troy McClure, and he does the musical, and ends up in Planet of the Apes, the musical. I love that one. Stonecutters, also a classic. Yeah, I think probably those are the three that jump to mind initially. There's so many. The Simpsons is one of those things that if you start like if you start thinking about fucking every Simpsons episode, you start just being like, yeah, that one's great as well. And there's just so many great ones. Colby Barfield, yo, what's up? I logged into your chat. Why does oh, sorry, that jumped away there. If you enjoy the 8-hour workday and 5 days work week, you can thank unions for that. With no unions, you'll be toiling away 16 hours a day, 24/7. Yep, that's true. I'm not sure how convincing that would be for getting someone to join a union now, though. But it's true. If only you understood dialectical materialism, you'd understand the necessity of two-hole theory. Well, like my friend Kean says, dialectics necessarily involves two things. Is the DreamWorks film Ants rooted in Marxism? The correct answer is yes. I don't know if I ever saw Ants. I had Bugs Life on videotape when I was young. But I don't think I ever saw Ants. The middle-aged British woman to Nazi pipeline is clearly established in the chicken run metaphor. Months later, reply of a guy, I am going to be talking about this. Not specifically in referring to Nazis, but the neoliberal feminism on display from Mrs. Tweedy. It lines up so fucking well. It's like her entire thing is built around re-establishing her family as a business. It's all about the women's touch when she talks about industrially made pies, reifying the idea of women being like housemakers and social reproduction being in the realm of womanhood. There's a fucking moment where she rips off an idealized vision of womanhood to reveal a rabid capitalist trying to murder another woman chicken for profit. It's an incredibly pertinent metaphor. Genuinely very pertinent. I was watching the movie and I was like, fucking hell, I might be able to actually say something here that's not just the whole video is going to be very tongue-in-cheek, but there's genuinely something there that's useful for explaining neoliberal feminism in quite a fun way. I can see why the media side of the YouTubers like Big Joel and Jack Saint and stuff, why they do it, because it's kind of useful. I think the plan for that video, by the way, should be out. Hopefully I'll get it out next week for patrons. I think I might release it at the end of the year, maybe between Christmas and New Year for everyone else, because I think it's a fair amount of work's gone into it. I think everyone deserves to see it. But patrons it'll be patron exclusive for at least a month. Maybe longer, depending on how I feel. Yeah, that's the plan for that video anyway. Favourite historical period and why is it the Mongol Empire? Uh, that's an insulated joke for a reading group we're in on how how the West came to rule, which is a very, very good book. I would thoroughly recommend it to everyone. Thank you, Innocent Fugitive. I like the jumper as well. It's a nice and warm. Um, Most of the big unions are pretty crusty, to be honest. Though IWW seems good. Yeah, so a lot of the big Unite has the benefit of having the new Shannon Graham, who's been doing good work, and been working with some people I know who are in smaller unions, which has implications that I can't talk about right now. But that's good. GMB is shit. Unison is shit. Their roles aren't to foster collective worker power, but to foster the subordination of worker power in the system of like an Althusserian might call ideological state apparatus. So it's not challenging anything, it's just facilitating and mitigating that tension between workers and capital rather than doing anything. Long history of talking about the labour bourgeoisie. Lots of work on that has been done for a long time. Bigger unions are particularly bad for that. I think like bigger unions, they pay organisers like 70 grand a year in the UK, which is mad. That's just an absurd figure to be paying an organiser, especially when you don't do any proper strike action. Which is not ideal. Mithril, got to go. Thanks for joining us, Mithril. Fucking hell, we've got 80 people here. Wow. That's a lot of people. Mithril's probably gone at this point. I'm miles away. Oh God. Okay. We've got Yep, block the spammer. Spammer's out. That was annoying. Hey, mainly Mandy. Thanks for joining us. Does anyone want to be a moderator? I'm bad at moderating this shit. If you want to be a moderator, let me know in chat, and I'll give you the spanner. If any more fucking bots turn up. What's something new I've learned recently that I keep thinking about? Something new I've learned recently that I keep thinking about. Most of my thoughts, Mustafa, excellent, and Harker. Get you to wolf with the spanners. Thank you. There we go. Something most of the stuff I think about these days is related to, and Ricky as well. Let's give you a wee spanner. Is related to my PhD work. It's so a lot of the stuff. If you've been following the channel for even a little while, the social reproduction stuff is fully fucking here's oh man, it's not even a bot, it's just a sad person. It's alright, I got them. Don't worry. They're gone. Yeah, they're gone. I don't know how that happened. Don't think I must have just must have just slipped the mouse. The revolution betrayed. What was I saying? I was talking about social reproduction. Yeah, that's the sort of thing, the sort of framework that is that has been infecting a lot of my thought these days. So earlier, I guess, earlier in the year, I had a sort of crisis in my sort of PhD work where I was getting really bored with the topic, and that's the main thing that you don't want when you're doing a PhD. It's not about being smart. It's not about any of that. It's about being interested in your topic, and I was getting bored of mine. But I read 2 books, which were, hi Andreas, welcome to the chat. The 2 books were Necropolitics by Akil Mbembe and Social Reproduction Theory by Tithi Bhattacharya, which currently my laptop is sitting on, so I can't show you that. And both of those were instrumental in changing my thoughts and developing my sort of theory, in combination with a lot of the fucking fieldwork stuff I've been doing. So social reproduction stuff. Yeah, not surprising. Necropolitics, one of the books. Yeah. Social reproductive stuff has been really instrumental in my stuff, in my thoughts. What's my PhD on? So, it will come as no surprise to anyone in the channel that it's about neoliberalism, but more specifically, the topics initially were the usefulness of human rights as a method of challenging neoliberal politics. It's always been in terms of from the ground up, so in terms of like activist utilization of human rights and how often that occurs, whether this is a useful frame that is used. But since what I noticed reading Tithi Bhattacharya was a lot of the social reproductive movements that were mentioned were things like water rights, land rights, housing rights, basically all these rights-based campaigns, which is interesting, and I noted that. And what has come about in a lot of my fieldwork so far, like the early fieldwork stuff, well, at this point it's kind of late fieldwork stuff, but I've not gone through and coded everything, transcribed it all yet. Tamash, what's surprising is that your PhD isn't about genocide that much. It is surprising, but my supervisor is an expert on genocide, which is where a lot of that stuff comes from. There's a bit of genocide in there, just peppered in and about. Yeah, my supervisor's an expert on genocide and colonialism and human rights. What was I saying? Oh yeah, so my work now has got sort of 2 prongs. The first is, where is human rights used in these social movements? And the second is fully understanding neoliberalism properly. Like, my theories are developing from this fieldwork, showing that neoliberalism isn't just subjectification. It isn't just the sort of small state governance stuff. If that's it isn't that at all, but it isn't just that. But it's actually also a process of primitive accumulation through the lens of social reproduction. So I'm developing a lot of sort of theoretical stuff as well. That was probably a bigger answer than the 2 people who asked the question wanted. But fuck it. Anyone with JSTOR access should read my article. Yep. If you want to read the article, it's called "The Death of Neoliberalism: UK Responses to Pandemic." It's got some useful stuff on necropolitics and some definitional stuff for neoliberalism. Also, if you're a patron, you should have access to it already. If you're a patron and you can't find it in the posts, just give me a message on Patreon and I'll send you it. Yeah, my first publication. Lots of people just being surprised that my PhD is on neoliberalism. One of the reasons why I did this channel was specifically because I wanted to talk about my PhD and communicate that and practice teaching. So, you know, obviously, that's a lot of the YouTube work has been PhD stuff. Someone asked me if I've said read The Dispossessed. I have read The Dispossessed. It is one of my favourite books. Months later, yeah. You ever read The Dispossessed? There's that phrase where she says, "Need is its own justification," and that really reframed my view of rights. That's interesting. It's been a while since I read the book. Maybe I should reread it. I think I've got it in here somewhere, or it might be upstairs. One of my favourite books. If anyone's not read The Dispossessed by Ursula Le Guin, absolutely read it. Hey, John the Duncan, hey man, I'm new here. I was wondering what your opinion was on YouTube removing dislikes so only creators can see them. I don't care. Doesn't bother me. Is that a thing? Does it matter? I don't know. Who cares? YouTube are weird. It doesn't seem like the worst thing that they've done. Salt Bay with genocide, Tamash, that is cursed. There are two authors of human rights. First one is given by the world, the second one is given by God. I don't know what that means, and I disagree with it. What's your opinion on historic narratives? Are they useful? If they're useful, what's that? Does that mean they're true? Do you mean, Anthony, do you mean what's my view of, say, a narrative like, say like a stagist narrative of history, like a lot of the Marxist ones, or do you mean what? Can you clarify that question, and I'll see if I can answer it. Does it Manly Mandy? Does it have piss boiling though? It does a little bit. It specifically, it actually genuinely does. The article does have some piss boiling. Because even the title, "The Death of Neoliberalism," is referring to a trend that you get a lot in the study of neoliberalism, which is essentially to claim that it's over, it's dead, and a lot of people fucking did that constantly during the pandemic. It's calmed down a bit now, people claiming that neoliberalism is over, as we always knew it would. So yeah, so there is a bit of piss boiling there, specifically, basically telling. I think I call people like people like Joseph Stiglitz are very wrong, in terms of in terms of neoliberalism. Oh yeah, Altair thought neoliberalism was dead. Exactly. There we go. Okay, I don't know what Truth Seeker is talking about. My whiteboard work is top notch. Thank you, Tamash. Have I thought of writing or making a video on techno-feudalism or neo-feudalism? We were talking about this last time, and I think people I don't like the idea. I don't like the framing of techno-feudalism. I know it means something slightly different from how I initially interpreted it as, but I still think it's a bad framing to call like a changing. I don't think we have anything resembling a techno-feudalist economy right now. Maybe I'd do a video on it. Maybe not. If I find an interesting way of doing it. Truth Seeker is saying the concept of liberty of the individual is a uniquely Christian concept, arguing all men are created in God's image. There is an argument that the particular conception of rights emerged in a European context, but such arguments about human rights are they flatten the different dimensions of what human rights are and how they exist within different subaltern contexts, often not emphasising individual rights. For example, land right movements from Via Campesina specifically reject such ideas in favour of group rights. Group rights have been a long established part of human rights trajectory. So the rights, constitutions of Western nations are not all based on the rights given by God. That's simply not true, and it's not even true within the context of human rights. There's a few different arguments that you're flattening there into one place, which is not right. Anthony, I guess what I'm asking you is what your opinion on the idea that history has moved forward through stages and can be understood through models. Okay. So in terms of stages, I don't agree with stage theory of. I don't agree like in that stagist idea of it. That sort of stagist theory of history is not something I particularly subscribe to. I think there's some value in understanding the motion of capitalism as a process which can move things in particular directions, but those things are never necessarily stagist. I think books like How the West Came to Rule are very good at that, at breaking down those stagist ideas. Even something like How Europe Underdeveloped Africa, which might initially be seen as more stagist. Did we see that book? Yeah. Which might initially be seen as more stagist, really problematizes and undermines that idea of stagism within history. So it's not something that I particularly subscribe to, the stagist idea of history. And even within Marx's own writing, stagism was never particularly central. Marxism and Marx's own writing is often viewed of as more deterministic and more structural, like firmly structural, removing of agent, agental analysis than it really was, and it did leave much more room for differentiated development. So it's not something I particularly subscribe to. What does happiness mean to you? Right now, it's just meaning having a nice glass of wine and chilling out with all my lovely folk on YouTube, and that's how you create a parasocial relationship, folks. That's how we do it. Death and Neoliberalism was a really good video. Death putting to words and the stuff I was thinking but couldn't totally put my finger on. I'm very glad to hear you say that because I didn't like that video. I didn't think. I'll have to take a sip of wine and explain myself. Yeah, I thought that video was fine, but I found it quite boring. I found it quite. I'm a little bit distracted because I can hear myself in the room next door because my flatmate is listening to the stream, and that is a little bit distracting. I find that video kind of. I didn't like it very much, so I'm glad that some people did. It did okay. I wasn't a big fan of that video, but glad you enjoyed it. And I do think it's useful for articulating the idea that the death of neoliberalism isn't, neoliberalism isn't dead, and how that idea that it's dead is, I think it's damaging to our understanding of what's happening right now. And I think a lot of what I said in that video has been borne out. We've seen the rolling back of Biden promises, of the infrastructure bill has been rolled back. A lot of there've been huge, cuts to pre-pandemic or pandemic level assistance in the US, and that's where a lot of like the neoliberalism is over crowd were getting their latest round of evidence from was from this big Biden infrastructure bill. And now that we're seeing that bill is not particularly anti-neoliberal, a lot of that crowd has gotten quite quiet. So I think I was right, but it wasn't a very good video. What's going on? Techno-feudalism just seems like an unnecessary distinction to me, but even besides that, it seems to assume that neoliberalism wasn't forcing its preferred market conditions from the start. I've not read up on Varoufakis's idea of techno-feudalism. I just suspect it's not going to be very good. Maybe I'll read up on it. Maybe I'll be wrong. If it assumes that neoliberalism wasn't forcing its preferred market conditions from the start, then yeah, I would have some big issues with that. Hello, it says Sevinich Yaku. Sorry, let me try and get your name without butchering it. It's Sevinch Yaku Janova. Hi. That was probably very bad. Chad neoliberals be like the state will wither away. No, they won't. They'll be like the state is here to be used. How many videos do you look back on and think, oh, that was shit? Not that many. There's a period, I think basically every video from before like May 2020, I did a video on Iraq and how the Iraq war may have functioned as, a neoliberal genocide, in this, which I thought was I still have I could have done bits and pieces better, but I think that was a good piece of work. Before that, a lot of the videos were much more on the line of just explain a concept, which isn't very interesting, and by that point the presentation is kind of just bad. It's just not very good at talking to the camera, so it's a bit kind of cringe to look at. So basically any video before May 2020 I think is kind of bad, and I always get kind of anxiety whenever I see people like working through the back catalogue and like leaving comments, and they start commenting on stuff from before that time, like, oh fuck, you're in the depths of hell if you've gone this far back. There's no reason why you should be watching this video from November 2019 about moderates. Like, this is a very different. You don't need to watch this. You're getting nothing from this. But since then, I think there are ones that are less good and that are less interesting. But I've not been I've not made one that I've been like, this is properly shit. Other than the one on the death of neoliberalism, which I don't think is shit, it's just not very interesting. Aside from that one, I don't think there's all that many. Everyone basically since this year I've been quite proud of, which is a good feeling. It's good to be proud of the stuff that you do. Technocrats of the West now determine our human rights. You have a very narrow understanding of human rights, my friend. Innocent Fugitive Law, whatever, I watch them all. That's very kind of you, Innocent Fugitive. But, I mean, like, come on. There's no reason that anyone should be watching those videos. Just do yourself a favour. You're all very kind. How many instances of the word neoliberalism do you think my thesis will have in it? Let's take a look at a chapter and do a wee search. It will be a lot. Let's choose, I don't know, let's just do the literature review, see how many see how many uses of the word neoliberalism are in the literature review. Okay, in the literature review alone, which is chapter 2, there are 131 uses of the word neoliberalism. Let's check chapter 4, which is neoliberalism today, which was built a lot on the paper stuff. So we'll take a look there. Probably also going to be a lot. Let's take a look. Only 101 in chapter 4, which chapter 4 is considerably longer than chapter 2. So, I mean, already that is what, like 232 or something. That's a lot of instances of the word neoliberalism. What software am I using to write my thesis? Word. I'm using Word. I just use Word. It's fine. Over 9,000. It's going to be a lot of uses of the word neoliberalism. Let's not kid ourselves. Neoliberalism being presumed dead feels kind of neoliberal. That is a very annoying argument, and one I very much want to make. That would be very funny to annoy some people with. Biden just referred to baseball legend Satchel Paige as the... Oh my god, Jesus. That's not good. Mustafa, I'm not a native English speaker and having a bit of a hard time focusing whilst reading Black Marxism. Was it easy for you? Black Marxism was a challenging book. It is a challenging book. It's difficult. It is difficult. Take your time. If you've got the chance to be in a reading group for it, do that. If you've got a chance to read collaboratively and read around it, do that, because it does have some issues. It is a difficult book to read, and it does get into some hard territory. Some of it I don't agree with. I don't agree with all of it, obviously. I think how the West came to rule is very useful in problematizing some of the readings of Marxist methodology that Black Marxism assumes. So, for example, in Black Marxism, one of the criticisms is the idea that Marx takes an ideal worker and just takes the assumed position of an ideal worker being a white English man, and assuming from that the progress of history, based on this identity. But as How the West Came to Rule points out, that's not how Marxist methodology really works. It's not about assuming a character and expanding from that, but it's about problematizing that character, begging the question of that character in the first place. So when they say things like, when Cedric Robinson says things like, Marx assumes a white man, basically, the authors of How the West Came to Rule would say, by assuming that, Marx is necessarily begging the question of different revolutionary characters or different contexts, and that's a much more interesting way of looking at historical materialism through a Marxist lens, and one that deals with Cedric Robinson's particular critiques in an interesting way. If you've got a chance to read it with other people, collaborative reading is a much more useful way to get through things like this, especially if you're not familiar with them. It's just a much more rewarding way to read. Do you read one book at a time, start to finish, assuming you're getting something out of it, or do you flip from book to book? It depends. So right now I'm reading 3 books, because I've got 2 for reading groups, and then how it tends to work is I tend to have like one for like a reading group, and then I will read whatever I'm reading for either PhD or video stuff. Sometimes I'll be reading 2 books, one for video stuff, one for PhD stuff, because the video that I'm working on now is based on what I'm working on for the next chapter. It's just one thing. So I'm only reading, oh man, I'm reading 3 books right now. How the West Came to Rule, How Europe Underdeveloped Africa, and The New Imperialism, the David Harvey book. And I read them at different times and different things. The reading groups mean that I have like got to read a chapter this week, got to read 1 chapter for 2 weeks, so it's manageable while reading more than one thing. Why do you all use Word? We get Word free with the university, so use it. I like having my stuff backed up on my computer and on the cloud. Ruckley is saying that doesn't include instances of neo-liberal. I refuse. I don't use neo-liberal. I don't know why. It annoys me. I will never use neo-liberal. It's all neoliberal. It always will be. Altair, I did try to learn Spanish using Duolingo for a while, but I just stopped doing it, and then I just got annoyed. I was just like, fuck, this fucking owl wants me to just learn Spanish all the time. I don't want to. I don't want to learn Spanish right now. I used to be quite good at, I used to have a German pen pal, so I used to be quite good at German, but we've stopped speaking. I was just like, bad. I'm just bad. I wish I was better at languages. GA, Black Marxism is anti-Marxist. I don't think Black Marxism is anti-Marxist. As Black Marxism itself points out, it's not about being pro or anti-Marxist, it's about trying to dialectically engage with Marxism and push Marxism beyond in particular different contexts. I think in some cases it succeeds, and in some cases it fails, which is not a very insightful thing to say. But, you know, it's a good book. It's worth reading. It's worth reading carefully, worth engaging with, and not worth dismissing on the grounds that it's anti-Marxist. And, you know, I'm not talking about it when Keane's here now. Keane's here, and we were talking about Black Marxism. I've summoned one of them. Kieran might turn up every now and then if I just say it 3 more times. Rosie Parks was a radical activist whom created... Whom? That's not even... If you're going to use the word whom, use it properly. If you're going to be that sort of person who uses the word whom, you know, be careful, because you just sound like a dick. Rosie Parks created the civil rights movement. Caucasian versus... What the fuck are you talking about, Truth Seeker? I think you sound like a weirdo. The entirety of political science academia just seems like 95% sniffing each other's farts. How can anyone stand it? It's bad. Political science particularly, is fucking shit. It's a bad discipline. You're not going to hear me defending it. I think political science has some problems, which... Some of the problems of political science are problems with the academy in general. Some of that is because political science has been trying to make itself into a science, which is bad. There's been an increase in quantification, there's been an increase in trying to make out that it's some sort of scientific discipline, an over focus on institutions rather than how to change institutions or whether institutions should be changed, the legitimacy of those institutions in the first place. Things like international relations being offshoots of political science are famously bad for not really challenging much. Yeah, political science is a bad discipline. That's why I moved sort of away from it. My work's more sort of theory and sociology at this point than political science. Yeah. Oh, innocent fugitive. The dash of neoliberalism is meaningless. It's just, I don't know what it is. It annoys me. I don't know what. I don't know why. Using Word, there's always a chance Bill Gates will read my paper. Yeah. Oh, hey, Davil. Pretty sure poli-sci is a chronic condition afflicting millions of stingy white men. It's so disrespectful. Yeah, political science is bad. It's just a bad discipline. It does bad things to the brain. It doesn't encounter things like neoliberal. That's true, Ruckley. Maybe I should check that. But there's gonna be lots of uses of neoliberal there. Thank you, Jake, for complimenting my hair. I wish the owl liked me as well, Annabelle. Sorry, G. It's not anti-Marxist. Truth Seeker, I'm gonna fucking mute you because you're weirding me out. It's nothing personal. You're just weirding me out. The critiques I've heard engage with are that the historical analysis is non-materialist in what I've read. When Robinson speaks about the limits of Marxism, he fails to understand Marxism as a science. Well, I don't understand Marxism as a science either. I don't think the science framing of Marxism is particularly helpful. And also I think that the way that people talk about Marxism as a science in the context of today is a very different thing to how Marxism as a science was conceived of at the time, as in relation to sort of more idealistic, as in the specific tendency of German idealism which existed at the time. So I don't think viewing Marxism as a science is particularly helpful as we look at it today. I think the critiques that Black Marxism poses, they focus on culture more, but I don't think that's necessarily anti-materialist. Like looking at culture as a process of engagement with the world isn't necessarily anti-material analysis. My critiques of Black Marxism tend to focus more on his understanding of Marxism, or the Marxism that he tends to be critiquing, is a particular tradition of Marxism, which I don't think gets to the root of Marxism as a methodology for understanding the world. I don't think it necessarily gets to those roots of critiquing it. I don't think the idea of viewing it as a science, or of it being anti-materialist, are not strong critiques of Black Marxism, I don't think. But the critique of it not getting to the root of Marxism as a methodology because of its focus on a particular strain of Marxism, which is, very much indebted to the sort of Leninist, Trotskyist, dominant forms of Marxism at that time, that's probably stronger. They need to seek truth harder, I think. Didn't the word Marx used for science refer to something more broad than the English word? Probably. I don't know. the word science is like specifically it is specifically in meant to counteract a particular trend of German idealism, which is a very different thing to the way that a lot of the Marxism as a science people Marxism as a science people use it these days, and the way that it's used these days is incredibly vulgar. I had quite a few people, probably Peter Coffin fans, in the video in the comments for the last video referring to saying that talking about race was anti-materialist, and I needed to understand Marx from a scientific perspective and read Stalin, which is funny. That's a funny response. Any thoughts on David Graeber's book, The Dawn of Everything? I haven't read as much Graeber as I should have. I've only ever read Bullshit Jobs, so I've not read that book. I want to read Debt first before I read anything else of Graeber's, because I've just not had time. I liked Graeber. I've just not had enough time to read as much of him as I should have. His death was a shame. Ruckley, I always got the impression that political science is just the MBA for future politicians. Well, in the UK it's the not political science, but it's that fucking Oxbridge course, politics, economics, and what is it? Politics, economics, and philosophy. PPE, politics, philosophy, and economics. That's the training for British politicians. Uber Farham, poli-sci professors are worse than the STEM brains. No, poli-sci professors are the STEM brains. That's their specific brain poison. The reason they're bad is because they're STEM brained, and because they've tried to make STEM brainedness tried to take it into the humanities, into the social sciences. Bad idea. It's because they're STEM brains that they're bad. Anthony, I picked up a copy of one of Zizek's books and got through 100 pages and didn't understand a single word. I've only read I'll come back to you, Anthony, in a second. You understand Marxism as a science as referring to its ability to evolve by new thinkers, critiques historical events. So I can understand why people would reject the... there are people I deeply respect who have bad knee-jerk reactions to black Marxism. I think because of its focus on this one particular tradition of Marxism. And I can understand why you might say that it doesn't reflect changing attitudes of Marxists. I don't think that's true. Different Marxist traditions, because it does explicitly deal with people who were Marxists. C.L.R. James, Du Bois, the black radical tradition itself developing from Marxism. But yeah, I can understand why someone might have that critique. I don't think it's a correct critique, but I can understand why they might have it. Anthony, yes, Zizek. I've read one Zizek book. It was fucking trash. It was... What was the book? It was it was called something like the Case for Hopelessness, or the Power of Hopelessness, or something. And it was just bullshit. It was like... It was just... There was a whole load of just racist stuff in there. Anti-Islam, sort of fucking weird racist stuff in there. And it was just like boring and like not good analysis. I was like, is this... Like, many people had recommended to me Zizek before I read that book, and I was like, oh, I'll be excited to read this guy. Read it, and I was like, this is fucking trash. Just a bullshit book. So, not a fan of Zizek. I do have a friend who did a summer school at his college in the US, and my friend said that he was just hugely dismissive of any post-colonial work. Hugely in like a kind of verging on kind of racist way, and just dismissed anything. My friend, who's an Indian guy, his work is on the sort of production of memory in a post-colonial context, just dismissive of everything he was saying, because it was post-colonial and he hated post-colonial work. Yeah, not a fan of Zizek. George the Half Scott. What a coincidence! We've just been talking about Zizek there. Made my thoughts pretty clear. Not a fan. Anyway, I'll be man listening to this while drunk. Y'all know lots of shit, huh? I feel like I know some things. Those things might be how to make scrambled eggs. Hey, trust me. The benefit of being the one who's talking is I get to talk about the things I know about. If someone starts talking about something I don't know about, I don't know about it. I know a lot about very specific things, and I can talk about those very specific things for a while. Lots of I don't. You talk. There are people I know who seem able to. We're having more wine, by the way. Who seem able to just talk about any topic that they come across with like confidence. I'm not sure if that's like. Sometimes private school people have this, where they just talk about things with confidence, and it's impossible to know if they're talking bullshit, because I also don't know. But there are some people who are just very clever and know how to talk about all this sort of stuff. I know a lot about my topic. It can make me seem smart when I'm talking about that topic. I'm as much of a dipshit as anyone else. This wine is okay. Hope I Smile. I like that username, Hope I Smile. Even the term science is used incorrectly today. Science is a methodology for understanding, not objective truth. I had a very annoying comment recently on my debate video from a scientist who was, first of all, he was angry because I said that quantitative knowledge is useless and shouldn't be used, which is not something I said in the video, because what I actually said was the privileging of quantitative knowledge as inherently more legitimate is the problem, not the notion of quantitative data in itself. Secondly, they were very annoyed that I challenged that and wanted me to come up with any other forms of knowledge that might be valid that aren't quantitative knowledge. And because they were a scientist, they thought that they only cared about objective truth as a scientist. And I was just like, fucking hell, just pick up one undergraduate methodology book, like just one. Scientists, please, I beg you, consider the concept of epistemology. It'll do your work good. This is a plead from me to you, scientists. Consider epistemology. It might help you. Bubble Boy. Marx's use of Wissenschaft includes science and arts, empirical and non-empirical research. E.g., I'd take the Heinrich position that Marx's concept of value is non-empirical. I need to read Heinrich. That's one of these people I need to read. Heinrich, yeah, I feel like I should read Heinrich to understand Marxism more. My knowledge of Marxism is patchy and needs to be better. PPE degrees are cursed. So someone saw someone was saying something. I think Coffin intends to try to critique black Marxism in their next book, or at least I heard that was their intent. Oh my god. Oh, I am so excited to get that and to send it to my friends. Oh, that's going to be exciting. That's going to be maybe some of the worst critique that I will ever read from the entirety of. Oh, excited to read that. Ooh. The courage of hopelessness, dabble, that's it. Yeah, it was very bad. Um, it was a very bad book. I have heard that The Sublime Object of Ideology is good. I've heard that's his one good piece of work, and he's just been sort of fucking self-plagiarizing for years after that. Yeah, uh, not a fan of Zizek. Um, what's another topic you'd go on about far too long at parties? Doctor Who. I'll talk about Doctor Who for ages. Forever I'll talk about Doctor Who. Specifically Doctor Who in the series 2005 to 2010. But even now I can talk about Doctor Who for a while, and in the Moffat era. And the new stuff, which is consistently worse. I once watching an episode of Mastermind where the specialist subject was Doctor Who from 2005 to 2010, and I got every question right, more than the person who was on the show, and I was like, fucking hell, I'm a nerd. I like Doctor Who, what can I say? Middle o'clock. Ban Truth Seeker. Yeah, Truth Seeker's annoying me. Oh, I thought I'd hid the user anyway. Hiding the user, that's blocking them, isn't it? The options I get are report, remove, put user in timeout, or hide them. I've hidden them. That's it. Scientists must be stopped. Even scientific consensus isn't objective truth. It's just the current consensus on current based on it's scientists need to understand the concept of epistemology. Thank you, monthly reply guy. Thanks for parasocializing with us. Felix Rios. Oh John, are you interested in solar punk? Because I was introduced to the concept by OCC and St. Andrewism, and I was wondering if you've done a deep dive into the political movement. I don't know anything about it. I've been meaning to watch that new video from St. Andrewism to learn about it, basically. Something interesting to learn about. And Counter-Strike, now that you're talking about Marxist epistemology, I just wanted to let you know that I am the 69th user. Welcome. Nice. Hello V19 era. Everyone's making it. Prestige is always relative. Absolutely. It's only scientific. Look, it's only scientific knowledge if it was grown in the science region of France. Anything else is just sparkling knowledge. Fuck, what a great joke. Absolutely great joke. Hiding means they can still watch but can't chat. Cool. Okay. They're hidden. They should be hidden. And can't chat. Because they're fucking weirding me out. Sometimes people just weird you out. And I was getting bad vibes. And this is the chill vibe zone where we only have chill vibes. No bad vibes. 11 out of 10 joke, I recommend that laugh. Thank you, Annabelle. Yeah, I appreciate that. Ketra acrylic. A friend of mine who's a literature scholar once said to me, sometimes I forget you're a STEM person because you're not boring. You know, I'm not gonna say it's wrong, but you know, it is right. Adelaide. I hear a lot of people talk about Marxist and communist ideas, and I typically agree very strongly with all the points they're making, but I haven't done much reading on the subject. Do you have any book recommendations? So my recommendation for getting into that stuff, getting into sort of reading on Marxism, is to do it collaboratively, if you can. There's lots of reading that you can do around, lots of books which are better than others. papers and stuff which sort of get you prepared for the ideas. You know, you could read, there's introductory volumes, Richard Wolff's introductory volume to Marxism, while not, you know, ideal, is good for introducing you to a lot of the concepts and stuff. If you wanted to read something like Capital, it'll be difficult. You should read it with people. A lot of video essays are good. Like, people talk about reading a lot. There's lots of good video essayists out there who do good work, but don't rely on people like that, because all of us here who are doing this shit are doing it without review, and the legitimacy of the stuff we produce is dictated by how many views we get, not by how correct we are. So be careful. But for getting like general introduction to Marxist ideas, there is good introductory video essayists out there who do good stuff. But my main advice is to do it collaboratively if you can. Join a book group if it's there. Someone like, I don't know, maybe someone like David Harvey is quite useful for introductions to Marxism. He tends to be quite clear in how he writes. Richard Wolff is also good for introductory stuff, but has issues in other ways, which aren't worth getting into right now. You're not going to understand it quickly. It's going to have to be something that you'd work on and sort of build up knowledge bases, and you're going to end up disagreeing with previous positions you've taken on various things and previous orthodoxies, depending on who you've watched or read. Just start, I guess. It's going to be difficult. It is difficult, and it's expansive. Like, Marxism isn't just you read these 3 books and you've figured it out. It's like a fucking 200-year intellectual tradition that has various different dimensions and various different expressions and contradictions within it. Yeah, so I understand the issue there, but it's a difficult thing to start. Do it collaboratively and just do your best. Sorry I can't be any more help there. Thoughts on the 8th Doctor's TV movie? I think it was quite good. It was very Doctor Who. I think it's a shame that Paul McGann didn't get to do more Doctor Who on screen, because he was very good at being the Doctor. It's very Americanized. I didn't like the TARDIS in it. I thought the TARDIS was not great, but you know, I enjoyed the movie. It's been a while since I watched it. Yeah. Mario Kart stream. If I had people to play Mario Kart with, I don't know how to stream on Switch. You need like a special graphics card or something. I don't know how to do it. I would fucking bring on other left YouTube channels to play Mario Kart with and humiliate. Absolutely. It's amazing how everyone retreats the hierarchies like they like academia. It absolutely is, yeah. Why Marx was right by Terry Eagleton is a very nice and very simple introduction. Yeah, that's a good call. The Fever by Wallace Shawn is a good monologue, one man play. That's a very good introduction to Marx and Fanon. Good call there. Oh, John, do you have any opinions on alcohol sponsorships or on YouTube or sponsorship in general? The reason being that I've been seeing sponsorships for bright sellers and videos I've been watching. I don't know, I mean, do you mean like for like left-wing YouTubers taking alcohol sponsorships? I mean, advertising alcohol, I've been talking about drinking wine this whole time, so I can't stand on any moral high ground. It's probably not great to advertise alcohol. Advertising in general is probably not great. But I don't have any ill will to other left-wing YouTubers who take sponsorships, because it's fucking hard trying to survive on making YouTube videos, and sponsorships are useful for living. I've never had any sponsorships, and I'm not sure if I would, but I wouldn't. I definitely don't begrudge any left-wing YouTuber who does take sponsorships. It's a hard way to make money, especially if it's your full-time job. Don't have it. I wouldn't begrudge anyone for taking a sponsorship. Might begrudge someone if they took an alcohol sponsorship, but how much is that more sort of damaging as alcohol than selling your data to a random fucking VPN or whatever? Hey, if this question gets answered, that's neat. But who's your favourite Doctor and why? Everyone's favourite Doctor is the one that they grew up in. So mine is David Tennant, because he was my Doctor when I was growing up. My first Doctor I ever watched was Jon Pertwee. I think it was Jon Pertwee, because it was an episode that was on the BBC on it was an Auton one, Attack of the Autons, I think it was. It was a Jon Pertwee episode, and I remember that. But David Tennant he's just very good. You look back on Doctor Who from that era, and Christopher Eccleston is great as well, but like, he's just like, you watch David Tennant as a Doctor, you're like, fucking hell, he was very good. Like, he was just very good. I do think Peter Capaldi had the potential to be just a fantastic, like the best Doctor, but was held back. See you later, Felix Rios. Thanks for joining us. Peter Capaldi had the potential to be good, but was held back by a lot of the writing, a lot of Stephen Moffat's gash writing. Capaldi was very good. He could deliver a speech, and the best episode of Doctor Who I've ever seen is the Heaven Sent episode with Capaldi, and it's fucking brilliant. It's just so good, and Capaldi can fucking deliver a speech better than anyone. Like, that guy can fucking act, man. I think it would have to be close between Capaldi and Tennant. The two Scottish ones. Well, three. Sylvester McCoy is also Scottish. But Sylvester McCoy is not close to that list. But Tennant and Capaldi were both very good. It's just a shame a lot of the quality of the Capaldi era in itself. This stream is sponsored by Raytheon. Let's see. I once walked past Tennant in Chiswick wearing all denim, including a denim hat. Sorry, Tennant was wearing all denim, or you were wearing all denim. I feel like it makes more sense for your story if it's Tennant, but I think it's funnier if it's just like you're telling people that you once walked past David Tennant while you were wearing full denim. That would be funny flavour for a story. It does sound like a powerful look. There's a good story. A lot of people talk about David Tennant, and they're unfair about David Tennant's like vibe and David Tennant's period as the Doctor, and they're saying it's very New Labour. Nah, David Tennant. One of my favourite stories of David Tennant is when he came down to London for the first time, and was an actor down here, and was saying coming down to London, he first met people who liked Margaret Thatcher, and he thought to himself, who are these people? What do they do during their evenings? Roast their children on an open fire? Are they even human? And that's a good vibe. Like the man hated Thatcher. That's a good indication. Hey, Marxist Paul, welcome. Fucking hell, we've been going for 2 hours. We might not be going on for very long, but welcome to the chat. We're all just vibing. I've drank, fucking hell, most of a bottle of wine. Yes, I see a lot of David Tennant's Doctor Who and Jodie Whittaker. Yes, and I think that's deliberate. Let's talk about this for a second. I think a lot of the stuff that they put into the Chibnall era is deliberately harking back to previous eras because they just don't have any... they don't have anything to like fucking base the character on anymore. They don't, like, they've not characterised, not allowed Jodie Whittaker to characterise the Doctor in any sort of way that isn't, like, it's clearly aping a lot of David Tennant stuff, and it's aping back to periods when the show was more popular. And you see that a lot with the new episodes where they've used older versions of the Sontarans. So they've clearly used older Sontaran models to like inspire some nostalgia in the older audience to try and make them watch. And they're like doing lots of aping of David Tennant's Doctor, trying and inspire nostalgia from like my generation's watch. Which is and not to mention too many characters, yeah. Which is a shame because I think Jodie Whittaker, I think there are moments when Jodie Whittaker is allowed to just be the Doctor for herself in her own way, and which she's like good and doing, like very brief moments when she's allowed to be the Doctor, and they're really good, but they just keep forcing her into this sort of model, and it's bad. All the actors are incredible. It's most of the materials are given. Yeah. Matt Smith for his first few series was bad. I really hated Matt Smith until like the series with Clara in them. I don't think he was really the Doctor until those series. It was just like a cartoon character version of the Doctor. The bow tie, the fucking blazer. It was just bad. It was not good. I really hated Matt Smith's iteration of the Doctor until that series with Clara. And when he got into that series with Clara, I thought he could be good. Yeah, the fish fingers and custard stuff was shite. It was all very contrived. Like, it was all very like, oh, we're gonna make him cookie, you know. It wasn't very good. The Tennant era nostalgia is definitely real. I would straight up listen to your Doctor Who opinions for so long. Yeah, Annabelle's right. The Matt Smith was cringing. So this is an issue with what they did with the last series and Jodie Whittaker as well. So much of the problem is okay. With Matt Smith, a lot of the issue being like, and it's the same with Capaldi, but less so. Like, a lot of the issue is he's this great, super powerful god character, and it's, you know, that's the Doctor. He's like, he's the fire at the universe, the unknowable truth, you know, all that bullshit. And that was bad. And then with Jodie, they took Jodie Whittaker on, and they're like, they did this weird thing where she simultaneously was less like able to solve problems in that like big-brained way that Stephen Moffat made, but they also did the full thing like, oh, the Doctor is this super powerful ancient extra-dimensional being that has unlimited lives, and it's like, what? How have you managed to fucking misunderstand the character so severely, while also like misunderstanding her in the exact opposite way also severely? It's just kind of mind-boggling how fucking bad the Chibnall sort of Who is. The 2 episodes that have been on so far of the new series have been okay and much better than the previous stuff, but it's like, you know, what is that? What is going on there? It's just so bad. As someone Rick Farrell, as someone who has never seen the show, what's a good starting point? The very first season, or is it more like Star Trek where you don't really have to start with the original? I mean, I would say maybe you could start with the first season since 2005. That's a real, yeah, Christopher Eccleston Doctor. 2005 is a pretty good starting point. You could maybe like pick some of the better episodes. See you later, Ricky. Thanks for becoming mods. We appreciate you and all your work. We should probably, we'll stick around here until 10:30, and then we will and then we'll call it a day at 10:30. Yeah, Christopher Eccleston's Doctor is probably a pretty good place to start. Yeah, Christopher Eccleston got the humanity and the warmth, but also it was very he was very good at showing like there's clear barriers up for him, right? It was good for that, good for the whole like conceit of there's been a big war, it's difficult for him to trust again, and he's in a bad place, doesn't know what he's doing, but he still has that warmth. Like, he understood the character. Eccleston was very good. I can actually remember the day that it was announced that Eccleston's good. The parasite-in-chief queen with her big stupid hat. That's about a good Eccleston Instagram post. And the first Dalek episode is really good. What was I saying? Oh yeah, I still remember the day that Eccleston stopped being the Doctor, and it was announced because I remember being like freaked out about it as a kid. I was like, how can he go? I love the Doctor. And it's just like a little like 9-year-old kid being like really worried about the future of Doctor Who, and not being happy that David Tennant was taken over, because like these pictures like, who's this guy? Doesn't look like the Doctor. But yeah, I liked Eccleston. How much do I love India? I've never been to India. Yeah, Eccleston's being open about his struggle with eating disorder and body images. I just think he's a good guy. He's a good guy and a good doctor. Eccleston. This stream is sponsored by Christopher Eccleston. Christopher Eccleston, give me money. I probably shouldn't have drank so much wine tonight. We really got... Annabelle, when you asked what else I could talk about, was it you who asked what else I could talk about for this long? I feel like, I'm sorry if it wasn't. When someone asked what else it was I could talk about for a while, and I mentioned mentioned Doctor Who, I could talk about Doctor Who for a long time. Eccleston, give me a super chat. Someone tag Christopher Eccleston. I think Tennant does give off good vibes. I think he just seems like a nice guy as well. To be fair, so does Peter Capaldi. Peter Capaldi was in that punk band with Craig Ferguson. He also gives off good vibes, if a little bit creepy. Do I really want to visit India because I have fans here? I would actually like to visit India. It'd be nice. I'm coming to the Bahamas first. If I could, the last time I left the country, I went to France in 2018. That's the last time I've ever been able to afford to leave the country. So, I think we might be extending our ambitions a bit far. If I can get anywhere first, it will end up being Europe. Spotify first. Hot girls and boys video chat. I'm afraid hot girls and boys video chat. I don't think you're real. Gonna have to hide you. I have been meaning to go to the. I have a lot of friends. So that my two plans, right? I've got friends that I've been meaning to visit in Europe, in the Netherlands and France specifically for for years now. Friends from when I lived abroad, and I've not been able to see them since 2018, which is sad. And I've also got a bunch of friends in the US, so I want to go and see. But that is just unfeasible. It's not possible. Maybe one day. Maybe once I graduate and get some form of stable job. Oh my god, stable job. Imagine getting a stable job in academia. Not possible. At least the bot is bisexual. Yeah, we are very open. We at the stream welcome bisexual bots. This is an open area to all bots, no matter what sexuality or lack of. And don't I want to see the sun at least once? I don't survive well in the sun. If I go in the sun, then I catch fire like a vampire. Have you seen the colour of my skin? I reflect light and blind those around me because of the fucking pure porcelain whiteness of my skin tone. The sun does not agree with me. I have challenges with the sun. I'm better in the cold. Hardcore. If I could afford to go to Australia. Got so many people I'd want to visit in Australia as well. Thoughts on what decolonisation could look like in Europe and the UK? Oof, we're firing big questions at me for nearing the end of this bottle of wine. Decolonisation necessarily requires, from the UK and the US, a destruction of all of the institutions which maintain colonialism across the world. So, talk about the specific case of that gets spoken about a lot, being academia. When people talk about decolonising academia, that would require, at the very minimum, universities to start disinvesting from colonial structures. A lot of universities at this point invest a lot in Israeli funds, invest a lot in colonial funds, and they get money from that. Oxford and Cambridge are fucking colonial institutions. What requires, you need to fucking deconstruct those institutions entirely. You need, like, a thing like Oxford and Cambridge doesn't, can't exist. Giving the 6 counties back would be a start, yeah. You need, but beyond the 6 counties, you need a fucking full, deconstruction of capitalist and imperialist systems which maintain colonisation and coloniality as a concept. There's no beginning that isn't innately anti-capitalist. It's hard enough getting them to divest from any fossil fuels, yeah. That's a big question for 5 minutes before fucking the stream ends, and okay, we're pouring the rest of this wine. We're doing full bottle. You know what? Do you want to stick around? We'll stick around until the glass is done. I've got a feeling, by the way, this is how the vibe of these streams is going to develop. It's going to be watch John drink a bottle of wine on stream while he babbles about various things, which might not be interesting to fucking anyone. what was I saying? Wine time, wine time, wine time. Exactly. And returning stolen objects from the British Museum. Yeah. So I was at the British Museum recently. I had a friend visit from Glasgow. And we'll stick around to the end of the glass and chugs the glass. Yeah. Buckley, do you think I could do that? I really should set up JTD as a company, and I don't make enough money to have taxable income at this point anyway, but as soon as I can, maybe I should set it up as a company and start writing off wine as a taxable expense. I was recently at the British Museum with a friend of mine who was visiting from Glasgow, and it is just wild, the amount of fucking stolen shit there. We couldn't even get into, like, the Elgin marbles were blocked off, but just walking through, like, full, like, massive statues from Egypt, just fully just on display. It's madness. It's crazy. I don't know how they do it. I don't know how they get away. Well, I don't know how they get away with it, but like, I'm very angry about it. Next time John drinks a bottle of Buckfast on stream, I've not had a bottle of Buckfast in so long. I feel like having a bottle of Buckfast to do a stream, you would have so much pent up energy to just like go out and, I don't know, get in a fight. That's a difficult vibe to try and juggle. Maybe if I eventually get folk on as guests, I can drink a bottle of Buckfast and sort of I'll get like We're in Hell on and drink a bottle of Buckfast and get increasingly aggressive with him. See what happens then. Anyway, every time I've been on We're in Hell stream, it's always like anytime someone else goes on We're in Hell, like with We're in Hell and Chill Goblin, they're like, yeah, we'll adjust our time to like meet with this person from Europe. And every time I'm on, it's like, John, it's 3 a.m. on a Friday, and you've been drinking for 4 hours. Do you want to come on and talk on this stream? And I'm like, fucking yeah, of course, I'll talk on this stream until 5 a.m. Fucking, I will come to Canada and I will fucking beef them. Yeah. John, can you juggle this? Can you juggle? This is an important question the clown community wants you to know. Davil would also like me to know as a member of the clown community. I was the sort of 14-year-old who learned how to do close-up magic. I know how to juggle. It is a great shame, but I know how to juggle. And I would like to take this opportunity to apologise to my family, my friends, but most importantly to my fans, who expect better from me. I know how to juggle, and I even know how to do some trick juggles. Where you're juggling and then you do overhand, and then they do like one-handed. I even know how to do that, and it's my greatest shame. If I'm going to be cancelled for anything, it's that, and I am sorry. Get in the clown car, John. That's right. I am a giant man, and I will emerge from a very small car. That's your Annabelle, if you've got a trash question, I will answer it. Canadians taking advantage of your of your lack of regular sleeping patterns. That is exactly what it is. John's awake at 2:30 in the morning on a Thursday. What's he doing here? Fuck it. Let's get him on to be a fucking clown for us. Hot Coven, they had a version of Buckfast that they had to remove the caffeine from in order to continue to legally sell. Wait, what? Sorry. Who removes the caffeine from Buckfast? What's the point of Buckfast if there's no caffeine in it? That's. Oh, to make it legal in the US, but they have Four Loko. I've drank Four Loko. Four Loko's trash. I once drank like four of them on a night out. It was a messy, messy time. I didn't shit for days. Shouldn't have said that. Yeah, Four Loko's bad. Oh. I feel bad, John. John L. coming in here as we're a fucking ball deep just talking about shit. That's very kind of you, John L. Welcome to the stream. Things are getting messy. We're gonna finish this bottle of wine and then probably head off. Anima Buckfast is a tonic wine. It is a wine that is fortified with caffeine. It's very sweet. It's like port, but worse. I've only had port once. I had port once when I was working. I was vice chair of this NGO, and I was invited to do a debate at St Andrews. I went there. It was fucking weird. They had like port and cheese beforehand. Only time I've had port. It was really nice, and the cheese was good too. Everyone was wearing robes, and somebody called me sir. It weirded me out. Buckfast is kind of like, you know, bad port. I don't. What do you mean? Remember Jaeger bombs? Jaeger bombs still exist. Holy shit! Buckfast tonic wine is a caffeinated fortified wine originally made by the monks at Buckfast Abbey in Devon. I was talking to Tom Nicholas about this. Apparently, Buckfast Abbey is really nice. Because Tom sort of lives out near that area and has been there. Apparently, Buckfast Abbey is really nice. Buckfast wine is a good night out. If you're going on a night out, it is a fucking vibe because you need a particular set of people who are gonna have a fun night, and one bottle's not enough to get you drunk, but it does get you amped up. So you need to have like a mix of stuff. So you're already going in with the understanding that you're gonna mix. It's only like 12% like alcohol, and it's just one bottle, so you're not gonna get fucked up out of it. But it's got loads of caffeine in it, and it's incredibly sweet. Makes a good trifle. If you can make a trifle out of Buckfast, it's really nice because it's really sweet. So cooking advice from John: Buckfast trifle. One time talking about Jaeger bombs. One time when I was in Nashville, I was I was in a youth hostel and I met two US Army guys who were home from tour, and we went out with them, and they bought the whole bar Jaeger bombs, like the whole bar. Not like every person, but like the span of the bar had just Jaeger bombs, and I blacked out. And I woke up the next morning. I had like these vague memories in my head. I don't know what was going on. I just woke up fully clothed in my bed. I looked at my phone. I had like two photos on it. One was just a blurry photo of me, and the other one was this dark corridor, and at the other end was a guy on his knees in prayer, and it was very weird. I don't know what happened, and I went downstairs to the youth hostel like to get some breakfast, and one of the guys was there, and he was like, "Do you remember what happened last night?" I was like, "I have no idea what happened last night." He was like, "Yeah, my friend didn't come home until like 6 in the morning, and he was with the police." And his friend came down the stairs. He was like, "Fucking," he was like, "Yeah, last night I don't know what happened, but I ended up walking along the railway about 5 miles outside Nashville, and the police came and picked me up and just took me home." And I was like, "Well, okay, that was we all sounded like we had a weird night." It was fun. Nashville, good night out. we have covered some topics tonight. Yeah. Yeah, they were cursed images. That same so that was when I was traveling. I was traveling on my own. I did a year abroad in South Carolina, and I spent the time afterwards traveling alone, just like sleeping on couches or like the odd youth hostel, and like meeting up with friends in various places. The first place I went was Georgia. Rick Farrell. I'm trying to make it more regular. I'm trying to do it every second Thursday. Every second Thursday will be streaming. I'm trying to make that more regular. Because it's quite fun. I like since I've got some folk to chat with. It's fun to chat. Oh hey, Corvan. Thanks for the super chat. Very kind of you. I found drinking in the US much worse than Europe, Germany specifically. Aside from the laws, what are your experience of comparing the two? So my experience. So first of all, a lot of my experience in drinking in the US was in a college town. First of all, everyone was underage in the college town. I was 20 for most of that time. I had a fake ID because I prepared, because. Why would I not? But everyone assumed that everyone had a fake ID, so it was just like, you have a passable looking fake and you go in. What was weird, so a lot of the weird stuff was like, people didn't, because it wasn't something you could legally do, people, when they could drink, just got fucked, in a worse way than they didn't. Like, UK's drinking culture is bad, but in the US it was worse. You got a lot of, like, the fucking frat guys, and they had bad attitudes to drink. They were also incredible lightweights, so they'd have like 4 Coors Lights and be like, bro, I'm fucked, man, I'm just fucked, man, oh bro, and you'd be like, oh yeah, okay, cool. And what was weird is a lot of the women would just drink like a cup of vodka with nothing in it, like with like a splash of juice. It'd be like 4/5 vodka. Hardcore, a little bottle of Bucky would do very little to me. And they would just like the girls would drink like fucking cups of vodka, and the guys would get fucked off of like 4 Coors Lights. And there was shit like the culture in the US drinking was more obviously aggressive. I don't want to say more aggressive because I don't think that's right, but you'd get a lot more like visible catcalling and visible aggression with women in the US than you did here, which is not saying, to be clear, that is not something that happens regularly or is less of a problem here, but was a lot more obvious in the US. And yeah, Hot Corvin, there was a lot of drink driving as well, which was weird. But there was also because it was illegal, you had the police always around, and the police being around, the police would just pick someone at random, and just basically, because everyone was underage, so they just pick one person, pretend that we were doing your job, and just sort of arrest them and fine them huge amounts of money, and they'd also be really, really aggressive. So anytime you were leaving a club, you'd have like 4 or 5 police officers at the door, tiny bald men who looked like bulldogs, just picking fights with folk, and that was really weird. Yeah, I did not like the US drinking culture. It wasn't good. I think it was worse than the UK's, which is already bad. Way less public. Well, Rick Farrell, less public transport, so there's a bigger like bigger cultural acceptance of drink driving, but there was no reason why, like, we had regular shuttle buses back to the university halls, so there's no reason why people shouldn't have been doing fucking, like, just getting the bus home. Like, it took 10 minutes, and you could walk there. It was bad, like, US cops are the fucking worst. Like, it was so weird. Like, you see US cops they would just start, I saw several times US cops just starting fights with drunk folk who were just, like, just walking home, and the US cops would come up to them and just sort of push them unprovoked and, like, demand shit from them, looking for a fight. It was weird. It was genuinely very weird. The coloniality of the US doing what the UK does, but worse. Exactly. Yeah. So it was strange. It felt very, coming from a place where you could drink when you were 18 and then moving somewhere where you could drink till you're 21. There was, like, so many things that felt infantilizing. Like, the halls, you couldn't have, like, the accommodation, you couldn't have members of the opposite gender visit you past 10 o'clock. Which just meant, like, there were lots of gay people who were having a great time, and then lots of straight people who were just frustrated, which is quite funny. But not exactly what I think that the weird Christian fucking benefactors of the university were after. But then there was things like, you know, not being able to drink. It was all very infantilized. The halls didn't have kitchens, so you had to eat out of cafeterias for every meal. It was very strange. It was a very odd experience that there. Straight people just soaking. Harker, the straight people couldn't soak. They weren't allowed to even soak. It was worse than being a Mormon. Unless you were, like, having sex with someone who lived in the same halls as you, and then you were fine. I don't know. It was very bad. It was very stupid. Yeah. Godspeed, Hokorvin. Yeah, it was an odd experience. One of the classes that they forced us to attend was this class called University 101, which was supposed to be like, it was supposed to be for introducing you to the US system. But I couldn't. My timetable meant I had to go to a UK, not a foreign student one. I had to go to one that was for just first years. So it was just me being like 20 years old with like a group of 18-year-olds who had just moved out of home, and the University 101 curriculum was like how to manage portion control, and they'd have these like full like 2-hour long classes on how not to eat too much. I'd just be like sitting there thinking, just eat less. If you don't want to eat it, just don't. It was weird. It was very strange. And there was like these questions like, what happens if you drink alcohol? Well, you get you might start to lose your inhibitions, or you might start to feel happy. And it's like just sitting there in this like fucking weird class where people are like telling you like how to live, and you're just like, what? It's just so weird. Like they had this whole thing about like calorie control, and like this obsession with like, it was so weird. It was so weird. Yeah, it was a very strange. And like I remember like just like being furious about having to go to this class, and like yeah, strange place. Yeah, lots of casual fat phobia. They had like genuinely like Mandy. They had like it was the like full on third of the class was this, like this sort of fear of gaining freshman 15, and it was like just it was just weird, man. It was all the whole thing was weird. It was like strange being like so the difference between 20 and 18 isn't that big. Um, but the difference, I think, between UK 20 at university and US 18 at university is quite big. Because the infantilization of people was significantly different in both places. So, you know, not being allowed to drink, not having control over what you eat, not being able to cook, not being allowed to have people round to visit you, being very controlled, and even like the courses themselves, you had things like you had to run registers, like you had to put your hand up certain amount of times in during a class to you know, to prove that you're listening. It was very weird, and like it felt like an extension of school, of being a child in school more than anything else. Strange situation. Nadine's saying, nah dude, what I don't understand is the logic that old-fashioned institutions use where they assume people can only have sex at night, but like fewer of your roommates are around in the day. None of it made sense. You thought about it for a second, none of it made sense. And folk like it was like if you had someone staying who was of the opposite gender, you just get someone else to sign them in for you. It wasn't like, it was just weird. It was just fucking weird, man. Why does the chat on video not seem to match? It's probably because I'm behind. It might just be bad internet connection as well. Don't worry about it. Things will be fine. We're gonna finish. I'm about to finish this wine, so we'll call it 5 minutes and we'll finish. Honourable saying this very much sounds like a problem with the university you attended. I don't think so. I've spoken with lots of other people who had very similar situations in lots of different universities. I suspect it might have been worse at my university because it was in the south, and there were southern Christian elements affecting it, but there were similar elements from people I've spoken to, friends of mine who or there were similar experiences with people who were across the country. Night, hope I smell. We'll be like calling it in about 5 minutes, I reckon. Night. As an ancient human being, a whole bunch of my student colleagues are so fucking young. Maybe it's just lucky. Maybe it might be. It might be university specific. Fucking hell. So I had trouble saying the word specific there. We need to call this because I just took a look at myself in the camera, and I could see my eyes dripping in that very specifically just drunk a bottle of wine way. Oh shit, Caritas, yes. We got similar stuff at USC as well. But also there was weird stuff with Adderall. The police used to go around the library searching people's bags for Adderall, which was fucking weird. Like that people took that much Adderall was odd, but that the police were just invited into libraries to search folk was fucking bizarre. I hated that. Did not like that. Okay. We're calling it. Any last questions? Get your questions in now. Last in the second. We'll deal with them quickly. ACAB, absolutely. We are an ACAB friendly house here. Throw in your cats, yes or no. We have a kitten right now. There's a kitten in this flat right now. Trans rights, absolutely. Trans liberation. You wee beastie. I won't show him now. He's probably asleep. He's been busy. How good are you at chopping onions? I'm good at chopping onions. Chopping onions I'm fine with. Am I not hot in this sweater? I am a bit hot. I get nervous doing streams, so I'm very much sweating. So yes. No more questions, but from a fellow very normally not drunkard, thanks you for being fun to watch and cool. You're welcome. He is always hot. That is true. Please, everyone, compliment me. Yeah. We'll call it there. Thanks for sticking around. Wearing a woolly jumper is a thirst trap. Definitely. Thank you, and we'll call it there. Cheers, folks.